When you boak on tourists, and you bless on tourists qui visite pays, I feel so bad. I really feel terrible, and I know you do. Let's check for Simotan Sasu News. Mokani hope sepa local news, not from Dominica. You know why? Mokone talte effect like tourism near su economy pays. Evelo mun fesa mun sala se swe an enemy of the state or forgive him for he know not what he does. Sepani bless on tourists or steal from him, you know. Low fesa uka bless industry tourist Dominica, and you are stealing from Dominica. This larger tourist like it is supposed what we are paying by your selfish and ignorant actions. Uka peshe la hansala what way? Think of yourself as a tourist in a strange land. Is the fear you experience. You want to feel safe. Messi anu to make our visitors feel safe in our country. Piosa vive ako eve encourage les autres moun pour venir. Pis yo pa veni dépenser l'argent yo ici, otamu na pays qui lève tout monde. En commission under Discover Dominica Authority.
Has to know for he said gather my children from the ends of the earth. I'm saying behold and look, African redemption open. Behold and look, dark man redemption open. And I hear the voice of the prophet in the wilderness. Then I hear the words of the prophet saying, yeah. Then I heard the voice of Jah whispering in my head. He said, gather my children from the ends of the earth. I'm saying, behold and look, African redemption.
It's 1:05 o'clock, and we promise you to give an update on some breaking news that we have for you. It concerns the case involving the murder trial surrounding the police officers in Portsmouth who've been charged in connection with the death of the gentleman, Mr. I think it was Mr. I can't recall his name right now, but certainly we have with us on the line journalist Carly John Baptist, who will give us an update. Good afternoon to you, Carly.
Hi, good afternoon to you, Thompson Fountain. Good afternoon to your many listeners.
Yes, Carly, we some very dramatic events in court this morning concerning the police officers who've been charged, who've been surrounding the case. They're surrounding the gentleman, Etienne. It was Mr. Etienne.
Joshua Etienne,
correct, yes, who was killed while in police custody a couple of years ago. What can you tell us?
July 2014, thereabout. Well, the incident, this morning the magistrate had to give a ruling as it relates to that, because he had acquitted that Olan Vigil of the charge of murder, so that Olan Vigil was already out of the way, and also you would be aware that Mr. Morgan was also out of the way. So those two out of the way. So the three remained in custody, and certain things came out of that. And there was further cross-examination because they were going via paper committal, and there were certain things that transpired. One individual did state that some of the information that he had given previously was not correct, and basically stating that he lied, and said that it was because of a certain lawyer who prompted him to say certain things. And so that is what transpired.
So from what I'm hearing, just to be very clear, Carly, I'm hearing that a key state witness by the name of Oscar Judge recanted his earlier statement, saying that he had in fact lied in connection with the statement he gave concerning one of the accused. This is the female officer.
Yes, Jamal Lee. Very correct.
Okay, and so he basically said that he had lied, but he had lied on the instructions of his lawyer?
Well, on the instructions of a lawyer.
Of a lawyer.
Because
okay.
you will recall that there was a family lawyer. The family hired a lawyer to deal with the matter. That I found very, very strange. And since it was a police case, I did not see the need to hire a lawyer to deal with the matter. And so that happened. And the whole scenario, went back and forth. And this morning, the magistrate had to make a ruling as to if there was enough evidence based on what the gentleman said, if there was enough evidence, and if he was satisfied with the evidence given, that if brought before a jury, could they find the gentleman guilty?
No, Kalai, just to be clear there, the evidence we're talking about, this is an eyewitness. Mr. George, Oscar George, was an eyewitness who claimed that he'd seen this particular police officer.
He was in the cell.
He was in the cell along with the deceased.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And it was basically an eyewitness evidence that he was giving, claiming that it was his evidence that had implicated this female officer.
Well, he and others, his evidence and that of others.
Others, okay. But based on the fact that he's now saying that he lied, the magistrate used that to say that Miss Louis was now free to go.
Well, yeah, because if you have given a piece of evidence, and then you come back and you recant that saying what you said, you lied, and you are saying that you were told to say certain things, obviously the court has to act based on that, and so that is what transpired. The court acted based on that and had to take certain decisions, and so the court decided that there was not enough evidence that could convict Miss Louis, and so she was set free based on that.
Wow, interesting. And but you still have two other officers, police officers, still charged, still before the courts, and they've been held for trial.
Yes, that is very much so.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Kalai, for this update. Very interesting development there. So we have 3 of the original 5 police officers charged. We now have 3 of them been let go, and 2 police officers are now. The 2 that are left facing trial at the next criminal assizes.
Yes, they've been committed to stand trial at the next sitting, which is in the next 2 weeks or so.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for this, Carla. I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you. All right. So here you have it, an update there from Carla John Baptist. Just to recap, the female officer, the lone female officer involved in this particular instance there, concerning the death of a young man who died while in police custody in Portsmouth in 2014. We've now been told that a key witness for the state, Mr. Oscar George, recanted his testimony in a statement saying that he lied about what he had seen, and that he lied on the advice of a lawyer who asked him to lie because, quote, he needed to bring down this particular police officer. Based on this, we're told that the magistrate decided that there was not enough evidence against this particular female officer, Gemma Louis, and she's been set free. The two other police officers in the case are now set for trial. So that trial is going ahead, and it will be the next couple of weeks. So we will see the 2 other officers, Challenger and Seaman, the 2 of the original 5 arrested for the murder of Etienne. From the original 5 arrested, 2 now facing trial as we go forward. And let's just take a very quick call there, and before we go to our commissioners. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fontaine.
Yes, good afternoon.
You know, Mr. Fontaine, this sounds vaguely familiar to me. What is the criteria for punishing liars? That's a question I must ask. Because I remember a case where the gentleman lied, and then he said, oh, I was just lying to the police. Or he claimed he was just lying to the police, and that whole thing got squashed, and he got set free, and there was no penalty for him lying. If there's no penalty for people lying, that is something that I just don't understand, Mr. Fontaine.
But there must be penalties for lying.
But why aren't they being penalized?
Well,
That's
I'm
the
not sure if
question.
the gentleman in this case is, and I'm pretty sure that something has to be done, because it cannot be that you just go and you claim your lies, and based on that, that you are let go.
Well, you remember the previous case I'm referring to, the
Yes, I
example
remember
I'm
that.
alluring to?
Yes, I remember that very clearly. That had to do with Shillingford, Denny Shillingford,
Yeah.
and the Gun Emmanuel case. Yes.
Yes, and has he been penalized for lying?
Well,
No.
yeah.
So what's
Interesting.
going on? So anybody can just lie and change and recant and say something else, and we accept it as a truth without penalizing? There's something drastically, fundamentally wrong with that. There's something wrong with that, Mr. Fontaine. It doesn't matter how you look at it.
Yes, I'm
something
with you
is
on
wrong.
that. I'm with you, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely,
Absolutely.
because anybody can say anything without any fear of being punished. I can say one story today, wait for a few years, and when I change my story, it upsets the whole case.
Yeah,
And the guy, so that can be used in a way that there would be no justice.
absolutely.
There must be some punishment for lying. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for this. Let's take another quick call before we go to our commissioners. Good afternoon.
Mr. Fontaine, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Mr. Fontaine, when I hear about this nonsense, as I should say, it basically stirs up some kind of level of animosity or anger inside of me. How can somebody just come outrightly like that, my brother, and say they lied to the court, which is where a decision or decisions supposed to be met out, and you just come and recant your statement like that, saying you lied with no form of punishment, Thompson?
I'm still not sure that there is no punishment. I still cannot believe that there is no punishment for that kind of thing.
Thompson, the precedent was set in Denny's case, my brother. Denny came to the court and said he lied. And look, we're hearing the very same kind of storyline again. And you mean our judiciary system is in that state of limbo, my brother? Thompson, the court officers inside there, all somebody have to come and say now they lied. Or the witnesses just come and say they lied and that's it. So basically, all these murder cases, they will just go down the drain. All these atrocious act that is being committed against the citizens of Dominica. How can a man be locked up in a cell for whatever the charge and he's found dead under your watch, my brother? And basically we are just watching that case as Dominicans just going down the drain, and we sit by and say nothing about it. We had a vigil outside for that same matter, and the police basically came and harassed us outside the station. Boy, Thompson, let me tell you something. You see Dominica, my friend.
I share your frustration. Certainly
Lord
share your frustration. Lord have mercy indeed. Thank you very much, caller. We appreciate this. Let's take more of your telephone calls. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you and the listening public.
Yes, good afternoon.
The trend that goes on in Dominica, no law, no constitution.
Hello? Are you still with us? Okay, I'm not sure what happened, but that's what we're going to do. We are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by our commissioners. What's going on with the Electoral Commission those days? With stuff or news about elections in the air and so on and so forth, and we're in quite a lot of activity within the Electoral Commission. We'll be getting an update shortly.
Give us a liberty, but give me death. Oh, give my death. Oh, give my death. Give I my liberty, but give my death. Oh, Africa is my home. I'm gonna show you. Behold and look. African redemption golden. Behold and look. Black man redemption gold. I'm gonna show you. Behold and look. African redemption gold.
Yes, it's 18 past 1 o'clock. Thanks there to Nasio Fontaine. As we go now to the telephone, and we have live with us Mr. Wynne James. Wynne is one of the commissioners on the Electoral Commission, the body that has been charged with ensuring and guaranteeing free and fair elections in Dominica. And Wayne has a lot of information for us. And let me say good afternoon to you, Wayne. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dr. Thompson Fontaine.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, it's a rainy afternoon in Dominica.
Yes, it is indeed.
I suppose that a lot of persons is at home and tuned in to this
Tuned
program.
in, yes, as well they should, because this is a matter that interests every single Dominican.
Yes, it is, because as I have always been saying that elections is something that really affects everybody's life in any country that elections is being held. So we're hearing talk of elections in the air, and as promised by Mr. Schillingford and myself, we have promised the people of Dominica that our work on the Electoral Commission is one for the people of Dominica. Yes, we were nominated by Mr. Lennox Linton, the leader of the opposition, but we have made it very clear that we are not carrying out any mandate for Mr. Lennox Linton or for Mr. Roosevelt Skerrit, because the Constitution is very clear that in the exercise of our functions under this Constitution, the Commission shall not be subject to the direction or control of any persons or authority. But before I give an update, actually, as to what's going on at the Electoral Commission now, there is something that I'm keeping my eyes on, and I don't know if you should be aware, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, that free litigants brought a matter after the last general elections. They brought a treating matter against the entire government of Dominica, and they did that in accordance with the law, because if you look at the Magistrate Code of Procedures, Chapter 420, at Section Part 5, it deals with summary jurisdiction, criminal matters, Section 68. It says here that in all cases where there is no time specified, limited for making any charge in the act or law relating to the particular case, the charge shall be made within 6 months from the time when the matter of the charge arose. The litigants met that requirement. However, as normal, we have noticed that what the government operatives normally do, likes of Anthony Astafans, is apply for judicial review, because he was claiming basically that the litigants should not be addressing this matter at the state of magistrate court. They should take it in the form of an election petition. But after doing my research, there is no substance in law which basically would be able to substantiate what he said. We had counsel for the litigants, Ms. Schillingford, who did an excellent work on this matter, and as a result of that, she was commended by the senior counsel. He did that publicly. It is there on the record for the type of work that she did in relation to this matter. And this is a very simple matter that is before the court, and it took place some 2 months ago. It is now several months now that we're waiting for the judgment on this matter, and we're not hearing nothing. But what I'm getting is that it seems that the government is using its operatives to interfere with the judicial system and to determine the outcome of this thing. I'm urging the court here this afternoon that the court must not try in any way lend its hand to legitimize or to regularize any criminal act that this government is engaging. And I'm dealing here with the treating matter, because it is very clear that the matter that the litigants took before the court is a criminal matter. And just to ensure that we on track here, the House of Assembly elections are Cap 201, which outlines all the various offenses that can be admitted during the course of an election. It says here penalty for bribery, treating, or undue influence. It says here that at 59, every person who is guilty of bribery, treating, or undue influence under the provision of this act is liable on summary conviction. And when we talk about summary convictions, we are speaking about matters that is being heard at the magistrate court, not before a judge. So here we see that is saying that the litigants were in place to bring their matter before the magistrate court, and so this is a summary matter, and it says anybody on the summary conviction to a fine of $5,000 or imprisonment. And it also goes here on in 61. It says that any person who is convicted of bribery or treating on undue influence, procuring the commission of the offense, the impersonation, or in addition to what we just said here in relation to the $5,000 imprisonment for 6 months, those individuals also can be incapable during a period of 7 years from the date of conviction. So they can be banned from contesting elections. So I want to urge the court this afternoon, please, do not lend any hand to legitimize or regularize any criminal act that this government is engaging at this point in time. So now we come to the commission, Dr. Thompson Fontaine. Wednesday last we had a very interesting meeting where on our invitation we had persons from the Commonwealth Secretariat here to meet with us. And these are persons at a very high level in the Commonwealth Secretariat, and who are willing to assist the Commission in ensuring that we are up to speed with the international best practices that is existing in countries, because, you know, the Commonwealth Secretariat covers a number of countries, and as they go around, what they are seeking to do is to have a harmonized best practice, so that when elections is called, no matter which country it is in the Commonwealth, that it is done free and fair, and everybody, you know, is basically satisfied with what is taking place. So these people were here and met with us at the Commission's office, and you know, some disturbing things took place at that meeting that I want to let the people of Dominica know this afternoon, because it seems that there's a particular individual, and I'm going to call him out this afternoon, Mr. Alec Lawrence. It seems that he is not interested in doing the work on behalf of the people of Dominica. He's an agent of the government of Dominica. We saw that very early in his entrance. We can go back to the email that he sent just before he attended his very first meeting at the Electoral Commission, reporting to Roosevelt Skerrit and to Tony Estefans and likes. So we understood from then there was a reason why he was there. But, you know, it went further than that at that meeting in front of these well-informed individuals, because we had 4 individuals there, one legal expert, a technical expert, and 2 others from the political desk and so. And it was very clear that the agenda of Mr. Lawrence was one as an agent of the government and not as a member of the Electoral Commission. I have already made it very clear on public record, asking for the resignation of Alec Lawrence from the Electoral Commission. I'm going to make that call this afternoon again, and I'm calling on my fellow colleagues, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Gerard Burton. Sir, hope you get well soon. Mr. Kondwani Williams, Mr. Hilary Schlenford, I'm calling on you all to join me in asking for Mr. Alec Lawrence's resignation as of yesterday from the Electoral Commission. Because, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, I'm sure that you're aware that the government sent proposals to the Electoral Commission.
Right, exactly. Because I want you to address, I want you to let the Dominican public know exactly what your concerns are, because it has to do with some changes that we are hearing is already on its way to Parliament, that is supposed to change the very basis, the very structure of the way elections are being run in Dominica.
Yes, yes, and as I said, it was something that was out in the public domain some times ago, but based on where it is at this time, because when these proposals came to us, we deliberated on these proposals, and we then sent our comments through the office of the president back to the government. What is very disturbing, and Dominicans need to listen to this very well. We have a government and we have an opposition. They both form the Parliament of Dominica. And if laws are going to be brought to the Parliament of Dominica for deliberation, which consists of the government and the opposition, it is just prudent that if the government send recommendations to the Electoral Commission and the opposition send recommendations also to the Electoral Commission and the Independent Electoral Commission I'm speaking about, that it is just prudent that we deliberate on the government's proposals and we also deliberate on the opposition proposals. But I want the people of Dominica to know that at this time, as I speak, we have not deliberated on the proposals that the opposition sent to the commission. However, we are now updated that the Attorney General's office is in the final stages of preparing draft legislation, which is going to deal with the House of Assembly Elections Act and the electors by the elections by electors registration. These are going to go to the House of Assembly. And disturbing for us here is bribery and cheating are one of the things that the government is trying to legitimize right now. This, to me, is very dangerous. And I would have thought that this draft would have been back at the Electoral Commission's office, where we as commissioners could look at that draft and deliberate on it and to ensure that what is really going forward. Although I have issues, and I'm certainly sure Mr. Shillingford has issues with it also, that we have not yet considered what the opposition sent to us for deliberation. Because what I think would have been prudent is that once we have deliberation on both of them, then we send our findings through the Excellency to the to the government, and then it goes to the Parliament. That is indeed what I.
Mr. James.
Yes.
Let's just pause a little bit because I want the Dominican public to understand exactly what it is that you're saying, and one of the concerns you raise is the fact that this legislation, which only looks at what the government side has proposed, is trying to legitimize treating, which is one of the cases before the court. That's one. But importantly to me, and that's one that really worries me a lot, and is something that the Dominican public needs to be aware of, is the fact that they are also trying to legitimize the bloated voters list as it is, in the sense that they're saying everybody who is registered, whose name appears on this list, has a right to re-register.
Yes, this is one of the proposals that the government sent to us, and as I said, that Mr. Shillingford and myself, we rigorously went after these pieces of legislation and said that we do not believe that this is the interest of the people of Dominica, and this would not be ensuring that we have free and fair elections in the Commonwealth of Dominica. But as I said, headed by Mr. Ali Clarence, it seems he is hell-bound on going ahead. What I'm going to say here is this. At that meeting, Mr. Lawrence made a statement to the visiting team that we are at a stage right now where the train has already left the station. Now, what I sense from that, and I'm convinced that the visiting team also sensed that Mr. Lawrence was basically giving indication that he have seen this final draft and he's not interested in this draft coming back to the independent commission where we could sit, look at this legislation before it goes to Parliament. This is very frightening. It is very dangerous, and I consider this to be very reckless of Mr. Lawrence to be saying that. And the visiting team was very much concerned about that because they could not believe that they were hearing that from a senior counsel, a man at that level. And this is disturbing to, as I said, both Mr. Shillingford and myself. And I really wanted to bring this to the attention of the people of Dominica. We have requested from the commission through the acting chairman who was there at that meeting at the time that we would want this piece of legislation brought to the Electoral Commission where we could look at it, and we also insisted that we need to deliberate on the proposals that the opposition sent to the commission so that we could deliberate on it and send our recommendations and our comments through the president's office to the government. I think this is the way that this should go forward. So I want the people of Dominica to stand by because Mr. Shillingford and myself, we will continue to report to you. We are two. How it goes in the commission, there are two from the government side, there is two from the opposition side, and the chairman, who is supposed to be an independent person, but it's coming from the president. We know who appoints the president, so we can understand what goes on there. So when there is a vote and the two from the government side, is in favor and the chairman joins, then it is left for it's been defeated.
And everything is by simple majority.
It is by simple majority. Mm-hmm. So it is then now for the people of Dominica to decide what is it that they really want. So we are doing our very best on behalf of the people of Dominica. So we're hoping that when we will call on the people of Dominica, based on what because we're going to do everything possible to ensure that this draft comes to the Electoral Commission. We're going to do everything possible. This draft cannot go to the Parliament of Dominica without it coming back to the Electoral Commission, where we can deliberate on it. And as I said, we need to also deliberate on what the opposition sent us, so that we can forward our recommendations and comments to the government, so that whatever goes to the Parliament, that at the end of the day, that the Dominicans can be satisfied and happy that when elections is called, that we will be having a free and fair election. So this is the update that I have for the people of Dominica at this time. I don't know if there's anything else that you want me to deal with at this moment, but this is what I wanted to bring to the people of Dominica.
Well, and I thank you very much for that. I believe we have on the line as well the other commissioner, Mr. Hilary Shillingford.
Okay then, no problem.
I believe he is on, so I'm going to take it, Wayne, and let me thank you a lot. Let me thank you for the work that you do for Dominica and for standing firm on this, because this is something that will have repercussions not only today, but 50, 100 years down the road. And I thank you for standing firm on this.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson Fountain, and God bless you. God bless the people of Dominica.
All right, and let's go to the telephones. Let's see if it's Mr. Shillingford. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Yes, caller, go ahead, please. All right. We seem to have lost the caller. Let's take a very quick break, and we'll come back with your calls on this very important development.
We are bringing convenience to you. Introducing the new Country Style Wholesale and Distribution Center. Agents for Fine Foods Inc. The same company which brings you Ting, Stone's Ginger Wine, Fernandez Black Label, and White Oak Rum. Call Melissa at 613-1789. Marigat, Wesley, Woodford Hill, the Kalinago territory. We are here. Country Style Wholesale and Distribution Center. Quality products, best prices, total convenience. Cut the hassle and call 613-1789.
Yes, let's go back to the telephones. Good afternoon.
Doc.
Yes, good afternoon.
Blessings to you, sir.
Yes, blessings.
Doc, that is not fathomable. You can't fathom what is really happening. It is beyond our understanding and measure. Doc, you cannot be begging for what is yours. What is yours, you have to take it.
These guys where they are, they won't give it to us, Doc. Doc, I hear you say you're trying to get in touch with Hillary, so I'm going to be brief. I am saying, Doc, we need to take it. They will not give it to us. And Doc, trust me, if the opposition allow these honorable criminals to get away with these kind of machinations, Doc, to further disenfranchise the people where the democratic rights are concerned, Doc, I will give up. I give up. I'm not going to fight these guys again. They seem to be invincible, impenetrable. Doc, we need to fight for what is ours. We cannot be begging for what is ours, Doc. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, caller. Indeed, the Dominican public, they will be the final judges on this. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Dr. Fountain. How are you doing this afternoon?
All right, I'm well. Thank you.
Yes, I'm listening. I listened to you and the gentleman interacting about the electoral office.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I am, as a patriotic, concerned citizen of the Nature Island, I'm calling on Mr. Burton, while he have health and strength and breath, to fix whatever he have to fix to see that corruption stop in Dominica, because he's not well right now, and I don't wish nothing bad on him. Like I say, I'm not the maker. I don't give life, so I won't take life. But there's a bigger force responsible for that. So if he don't take that responsibility and fix what he's supposed to fix to help righteousness go in this country, he'll be responsible for everything. And the Prime Minister or no one else can help him but himself. So while he have health, while he have breath, he got to fix it. Because when he leaves this physical realm, he will be responsible for all what he was supposed to fix, and he didn't fix it. Also, to all those that think they could do corruption and could do hurt people and they're not going to face it, there's a thing called karma. And the saying that goes, what goes around comes around. There's a police officer that walks up and down the street by headquarters. I don't wish bad on him, but like I understood, he did a lot. He was a vibrant police officer once upon a time. Now he's walking the streets talking to himself. So I'm saying, what did he do in his lifetime? This is his punishment he's facing right now. So we all got to take example from those things. Karma comes back. And Mr. Prime Minister, I'm not saying you had anything to do with Honorable Roosevelt Douglas or Pierre Charles' death. But if you or anyone had something to do with that, just a matter of time. Karma is going to come back. What goes around comes around. While you have health and strength, fix it. Fix it. So at least you'll have a chance. Thank you, Dr. Fountain. You have a blessed day.
Yes, and thank you very much. Let's take some more of your calls. We're dealing with this electoral commission matter. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Fountain, and how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
This is Edin Katzenval here.
Yes.
And as you know, there is a matter before the court, a treating matter before the court. And I am an interested party. And I have spoken to my other partners, Antoine Defoe and Mervyn John Baptist, and we are in total agreement of what I am about to say. I want to remind Mr. Burton, Mr. Lawrence, and Mr. Condani Williams that Roosevelt Skerrit, the Prime Minister of Dominica, became Prime Minister because he met a democratic process in Dominica which is alive and well and functioning. And they should not do anything to mash up that democratic process in Dominica. Let the playing field be level and let the best player win. And I want to say, they cannot be passing a legislation to legitimize the wrong things in Dominica, the things that are wrong, to make it right. We noticed they did that with the IPO, and now they are trying it again. And I want to tell them that we will resist it with every ounce of blood in our body. If it means injuncting the legislation, we will do that. So they must be careful what they are doing. Be careful what they are doing. Dominica does not belong to them and Roosevelt Skerrit. It belongs to every single one of us. And any individual who so wishes has a right to be the Prime Minister of Dominica. Anybody who so wishes has a right to go up into public office anywhere they choose. And then they should not try to to circumvent the law and to think the electoral process. So this is, they can take that as a warning. I take it as a warning from me. Thank you very much, Dr. Fontaine.
Yes, thank you very much indeed. We'll take a very quick break and then we'll be back.
Dream Team presents its best play ever. Me and my house.
Kobe!
Kobe!
Yes, Daddy.
Boy, come inside there before you break your neck, boy.
Coming, Daddy.
Kobe! Where you come out?
Daddy. Church. Yeah.
The play will be held at the Arawak House of Culture Friday 21st and Sunday 23rd April at 8 p.m.
Okay, Kobe. Don't WhatsApp me tonight, eh? I'll expose you tomorrow in school. You know you sent me them dirty texts already. I'm waiting for you tonight. Don't forget.
Me? Girl, you lie. Tickets are available at the CLC Bookstore, the Deliverance Baptist Church, and members of the Dream Team. Tickets cost $10 children and $20 adults. This play promises to make you laugh and sometimes even cry, but at the end, there will be healing. This production is sponsored by Vibes Radio, Lindomat, Ross University, Harris Pence, HHV Whitchurch, Mapping 2K4, and Flow.
The Marigat Development Corporation proudly presents Marigat Reunion and Mayfest 2017, April 21st to Monday, May 1st, under the theme Making Marigat Great Again. Presenting day number 6, 7, 8, and 9. Come be a part from Tuesday, April 25th. Join us for a symposium on building a house at the MCCU Conference Room. Be a part of the continuation of community project and Top City Night closes that night. Then Wednesday, April 26th, be a part of the school competitions at the Will Strathmore Stevens Primary School, a part of the community project's continuation, and of course form part of the Heroes Park rededication and the Diaspora Meet of Cabinet at the Marigot Community Center. Then it's all about 4 Road Arrow Park night in the evening. Further, on Thursday, April 27th, be a part of the exhibition, be a part of the Block and Yard beautification competition, meet the MDC socialization, traditional games night, and Sam's Got Tonight on Thursday, April 27th. That's date number 6, 7, 8, and 9 for Marigot Reunion 2017. Be there. This ad is supported by Q95 FM Radio, proud gold partners of Marigot Reunion 2017 and Country Style Brand.
Yes, it's quarter before the hour of 2 o'clock. This is Talk on the Block, and we are back and talking to another commissioner on the Electoral Commission, Mr. Hilary Shillingford. Hilary, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ms. Fontaine.
Yes, it's good to have you. We were talking earlier to Wayne James, another commissioner, and he raised some very serious concerns about government's attempts to rush through legislation that only takes into account the views of the government, views that we know are basically meant to legitimize the stealing of the elections that we witnessed in 2009 and 2014. And what is your take on it? As a commissioner, what can you tell us appears to be going on with this Electoral Commission?
Well, Fontaine, it's rather unfortunate I didn't get to hear my fellow commissioner, Wayne James, because I was driving, trying to get to the television, but I could not make it on time, and I lost the signal. But I've been talking about it here and seeing the actual meetings at the commission, man. Words cannot describe it, Thompson. When you see the way, Commissioner Alec Lawrence, the way he behaves at these meetings, boss, this man it's like he's in a political campaign for the government, and he forgets the fact that he's a commissioner seeking to give the country electoral reform, free and fair election, Thompson. Thompson, we were visited by 6 officials. 5 or 6 officials from CARICOM, OECS, doctor this, doctor that, and top people, actual people who have worked throughout the CARICOM, dealing with elections down to Africa.
The Commonwealth.
Commonwealth,
yeah.
Commonwealth, I say CARICOM, sorry. And these people were invited here by us, by the Dominica Commission. And these people are ready to assist us because they have worked throughout the region internationally, everywhere. And to hear Commissioner Alec saying to the people, the train has left the station. I move a motion that we would have a window of 1 month asking the brutal regime not to bring that piece of legislation that is not worth the paper it is written on. If you legitimizing corruption and bribery, trying to steal an election in a country, Thompson, would you say that document is worth the paper it is written on?
It's not, absolutely not. Yeah.
I saw you shred a document in Parliament. And that is what should be done if that document, Thompson. It is not worth the paper it is written on. And this one is fighting against the officials to the extent where he rudely walked out of a meeting. Thompson, the meeting was adjourned. The people asked for we, the commissioners, to discuss among ourselves exactly what they moved the motion for. It's obvious the people see it as the only way forward. So let's say, commissioners, would you like some time to sit among all yourselves and discuss it? Would you imagine the little time the people step out, Alec behaved like he didn't hear them say they're coming back. I said, Mr. Lawrence, the people are coming back. Why are you leaving? He said, no, he didn't understand them to be coming back. I said, but I'm telling you that's what happened. When understood it, Kondwani followed him. So these guys are not in the interest of the country. These guys are there with their own agenda. I told the meeting. These guys have their millions to protect. Every one of them selling passports. Every one of them registering companies, working for the banks that the government controls. So, in a nutshell, bossman, what we see happening in this country is the fact that we have a matter before the court, and I urge the judge to find some time within a busy schedule, please, on behalf of Dominica, to give this legislation time. They are rushing to give this matter time, to make some time for that matter, the matter of treating which is before the court. Because I am privileged to be on the commission, and I can tell you they are rushing to legitimize treating and bribery at the next parliament. So we urge the court not to work hand in hand with the brutal and corrupt regime. The court must not lend its hand to get involved in any illegality. And we call on the court, please, to put the best foot forward and bring some light on that decision, Matt. Thompson. Because that is what is happening. They're racing forward before the decision is heard. I guess they may feel they have influence on the court. I have no evidence of that. So I don't want to go down that line. But I'm telling you, if the court sit there and do not act, or act wrongfully, then clearly this country is doomed. I urge Dominicans again, Thompson, the power is in your hands. If that legislation go to Parliament, it is not for UWPU coming out. You must come to Roseau and do not leave Roseau. Stay there until they stop the way about with that act that they're trying to pass, Thompson. It must not be a UWP thing. It must be a thing for Dominica. And labor rights, as well as freedom rights, as well as UWP rights, must say to Skerrit, enough is enough, and that piece of legislation not going through. So, bossman, in a nutshell, what I see happening is a crime against the state. I stood up at the meeting, and I told Kondwani, I thought Alec was bad, but I'll trust him behind my back with 2 knives before I trust you behind my back. Because you cannot imagine a man sitting there and everything against the country Kondwani supporting. Whatever Alec puts forward, Kondwani blindly follows. What is that for the country, boss? These people only thing they see is their pocket. And that is unfortunate for a young man to behave that way. When is this going to stop? Where is the line going to be drawn, Thompson? If there's any question you want to ask me, feel free to ask me at this time.
Yes, indeed. Hillary, thank you for that, because I am deeply, deeply concerned, and I believe the Dominican public needs to draw the line that this legislation in its current form is not going to become the law of the land. As simple as that. We cannot allow this government to legitimize the theft of elections going forward. I mean, where does that put us? We're supposed to be the democracy.
And Thompson, if we allow it, it means our children will never be able to decide on what government that controls the country. Because you know what? If Roosevelt Skerrit is in power today, all you have to do is go and get some millionaires, wherever, however they make their money, bring them here. Nobody can touch another election in this country. Come outside the polling station and pay them right outside there. If we allow that piece of legislation to go through, what Roosevelt Skerrit will do or can do is to get 2 or 3 millionaires and have their agents outside of the polling station and pay them their $200-300 to the voters. It will no longer be illegal, and they can buy the election at any stage. Even on election day, they will
yes, absolutely. And I saw that with my own eyes happening in the 2014 election. So you can imagine, and then it was illegal. Imagine now if it is now made the law that it is fine to do that. You know, right on the line, you try to entice people with cash to vote for you.
So if Dominicans want to stay like Kunumunu or Muto Batali because they're getting a little peanut today and allow their country to go down the drain, and they have to live like beggars. Their children have to go and beg. They don't know where the next meal coming from. And if they want to sit there when we call them out, and I will be on radio, I can tell you from then, if whatever Alec and the administration and Burton and Condoni, the people who are fighting Wayne and I at the commission, if they allow it to happen, if it happens to go through, I will be the first one calling on Dominicans to come out. And if they don't come out, I can tell you, Thompson, you will never hear my voice on a radio program again. Because that cannot be allowed. So who have the most money can just go and buy the election on election day. And there'll be no crime committed. Dominicans just open their eyes, they're just sitting at their home and saying they support this and they support that. Calling Q95 and doing nothing. Nobody is too old or too young or too weak to come out to fight for their country. Because if you let your country go, where will you be? It will soon become like almost in a different way. We'll be like Syria and the others if we allow our country to go down. So I don't mind being the one to lead that call when the time is right. If we sit there, because the police should not support legitimization of bribery. They should not support the legitimization of corruption. And this time around, I'm sure the police will be on our side. The police will be on our side supporting us against the state, against the corrupt regime. So we should have no fear this time around. This will not be a political move. It will be a move to protect the democracy of our country. And that's my contribution to the book.
And I thank you so much for it. I thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you indeed. Thank you for the work that you do for Dominica. Wow. Dominicans, we simply cannot allow this legislation to go through in its current form that would legitimize the theft of elections going forward. We simply cannot allow it. And we must draw this line in the sand. Dominicans, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Thompson, and good afternoon to the listening public.
Yes, try to be as brief as possible. Let me get us about 2 more calls in because we have only 4 minutes left.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Thompson. First of all, on this issue, Thompson, I've said since after the last election, we have to be very cautious how we proceed on that matter. Because I knew basically any kind of thing we're going to get, Skerrit was going to use his majority in the parliament to legitimize bribery, corruption, treating and transporting people in to vote. I knew he was going to do that. The other thing is this, what I don't understand in Dominica is, we have poor people, their accounts being garnished by the Inland Revenue Department against the law, of course, because they have to go to court. But senior counsel, all the Inland Revenue, I understand, over $300,000 Why are they not garnishing his account? Is it that his account is not held in Dominica, as most of these other high-up people whose accounts are in Jamaica and Barbados and everywhere else except Dominica? So is it the law in Dominica is only for the poor Malay, and yet some of them they love their Kero? People wake up.
Yes,
this is
indeed.
not time. This is one time. I'll be in Dominica pretty soon, and I'll be on the front line.
Thank you very much,
gentlemen.
caller. Appreciate it. All right, let's take another call quickly. Good afternoon.
Yes, Dr. Fontaine, Edincourt, Senval again.
Yes.
Mr. Shillingford spoke about Alec Lawrence's behavior, but I'm not surprised. I've said it on the radio, and I want to remind Dominicans again that the commission invited members of the opposition to meet with them, and I was part of the delegation. They invited us. I want to stress that. And Alec Lawrence and Kwandwani Williams stayed there throughout the hour and a half or 2 hours that we were discussing with them and did not say one single word. Therefore, I want to call on every Dominican that what Edincourt Senval, Mervyn John Baptist, and Antoine Defoe is fighting is not for themselves, nor the United Workers' Party. It is for their children, born and yet unborn. And I want to call every one of them, every Dominican, to join us. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. A final caller. Good afternoon.
Doc,
You have 1 minute exactly. Good afternoon.
the hand that holds you, Doc, you cannot be negotiating with it. You have to cut it. You have to break it. You have to sever it, Doc, by any means necessary. Doc, that madness can go on. If Dominicans, not the parliamentary opposition, but Dominicans allow that madness to go on, Doc, I will be leaving this country. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And all right, because you're so short, we have 30 seconds. Good afternoon.
Yes, Mr. Fontaine.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what the message we have to stay on here. I remember Alec Lawrence writing in a book, The Constitution and New. And we must let these people know we're not going to accept anything that is against the spirit of the Constitution. Any law that is written or go to Parliament must be within the parameters of the Constitution. And nobody should get away by disrespecting a Constitution that our forebears put forward. There's a man in England, United Kingdom, called Bertrand Russell. Prominent man, highly impeccable. And instead, and I see, he always said that patriots must not be willing to die for their country. They must also be willing to kill for their country. And that is why I think that we should move. It's about time.
Caller, we thank you. Thank you very much. We are just about out of time. Let me thank all of you for joining the conversation this afternoon. Thank you for joining us for Talk on the Block. Matt will be back tomorrow. Until then, have a good afternoon. And stay tuned for the Digicel Hour. Bye-bye.